Assalamu alaikum, Army Public School and College Khanewal. Here is your second year class and the subject is biology. Our chapter number 16, sport and locomotion, and our today's topic is the axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Yes, in last lecture we have discussed about the human skeleton that consists of 206 bone that was basically divided into two skeleton, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. In axial skeleton, we discussed about skull as it is having the three parts, the skull, or you can say the head bones too, number 2 vertebral column, and number 3 rib cages. These are the parts of the axial skeleton. Now we are going to discuss about the vertebral column here. That is the second part of the axial skeleton. This one is the vertebral column. Its second name is backbone too. You call it backbone in your body. What is the basic purpose of vertebral column in your body? Yes, you can see that if this is a vertebral column given here, inside of this, the brain stem gave rise from here the spinal cord. The spinal cord is present inside of this vertebral column. Hence, you can say that this vertebral column provides support to the spinal cord also. And what is the location of vertebral column in your body? It is present from skull to the pelvis to form backbone, which protects the spinal cord in your body. Okay, normally the vertebral column has 4 curvatures. What is the meaning of 4 curvatures here? You can see like here, the first one is this region. We have divided them into 4 curves. This one first, the second here, the third one lumbar curve, and the fourth one sacral curve. So these 4 curves are known as the curvatures. Overall, this vertebral column is made up of 33 vertebra. It means 33 bones are present inside of it, right here. Here are 2 points given. One is the atlas and the other one is the axis. What is atlas and axis? Atlas is the first cervical vertebra. Like if you see here, this is vertebral column and this is the first bone, the CU1. So this one is known as the atlas. And the second one is known as the axis, is the second cervical vertebra. Okay class, I told you that here are the 4 curvatures. I am going to describe one by one all of them. Okay, the first one is the cervical vertebra. Here it is given. You can count them, how many vertebrae are present here. Here are 1 to 7 vertebrae present. So you can say that the cervical vertebrae are, or cervical curve is consisting of 7 vertebrae. Fine. Okay, in which the first one is the, I told you it's atlas, and the second one is the axis. Next is the thoracic vertebra. Here it is given. The thoracic cavity, you know, this is a chest cavity from where it started. You can see it here also. This one area from here. This is including the whole area of the chest cavity. That's why it is also known as the thoracic vertebra. And in this curve, you can see here are 12 thoracic vertebrae. So you can count them as well. 1 to 12 are given here. These are the thoracic vertebrae. Next to them is the lumbar vertebra. Lumbar vertebra is started from after the thoracic cavity here. It is actually found at the waist region. The waist of your body is present here. Fine. This one region is known as the lumbar curve, and the vertebrae that are present here are known as the lumbar vertebrae. And they are total 5 in numbers. You can see here lumbar vertebra L1 to 5. So total number of vertebrae are here 5 in number. Next to them is the pelvic vertebra here. This is the last one, pelvic vertebrae. Overall we call it the pelvic vertebrae. So here the 9 vertebrae total number are the 9, from which 2 sets sacrum and coccyx. You can see here, one is the sacrum, the last part, it is having 2 sets. One is the sacrum, its number of bones are different, and the coccygeal vertebra is different. It is also known as a coccyx. The sacrum that is given here is formed by the fusion of interior 5. I told you that this region is consisting of 9. Total number of vertebrae given here are 9. Now I am telling you the classification of this 9 number here, from which 5 is fusion of 5 vertebrae are making the sacrum region. This is and it's contained basically the 5 vertebrae, and the coccyx region, this one, it is the fusion of 4 posterior vertebrae. So total are 5 and 4, 9, and they are known as the pelvic region vertebrae. Is this point clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are moving towards the next part, that is the rib cage, the third part of the axial skeleton. Rib cage. What are the ribs? Do you have ribs in your body as you are human? Obviously, you will have it. Okay, class. Total 12 pairs of ribs attached with the thoracic vertebra. Here you can see this is a thoracic vertebra. Fine. And they are total 12 in numbers. Given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So total 12 pairs of ribs attached with the thoracic vertebra, right? Now see their classification here. 10 of them, they are connected with the sternum. Sternum kya hai? Sternum is this is a central bone with these ribs are attached. They are attached either directly, and here we have divided them into 3 regions: the true ribs, the false ribs, and the floating ribs. The true ribs, fine, total 12 pairs are given here. 10 pairs connect with the sternum, and totally 12 ribs are classified here into 3 categories: true ribs, false ribs, and floating ribs. See, the first 7 are classified into the true ribs because they are directly attached with this part, sternum. The 7s are directly attached with the sternum and known as the true ribs. And the second one is the false ribs, the 8th and 9th, these two, the 8th and 9th, and the third one, 10th. This bracket is showing the false ribs, right? 8th, 9th, and 10th are called false ribs as they are not attached with the sternum. They are free. You can see that. Till here, these are attached with the sternum. Now they are not directly attached with this point, fine? They are attached with this region, not with the sternum. So you can say them, they are not attached with sternum directly, but are attached to the sternum by means of common costal cartilage. Here is the common costal cartilage by which it is attached and are known as the false ribs. Next to them is the floating ribs, and they are 11 and 12 number. Because they do not attach to the sternum. They are also not attached with the sternum. That's why they are known as the floating ribs, because they are present at the end point. So here, the rib cage end. Do you have any confusion here in rib cage of axial skeleton? Yes, class?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I am moving ahead with the second part of your skeletal system, that is the appendicular skeleton. What is the appendicular skeleton? The parts which are present in appendages, arms, and legs, here you can see that is the highlighted portion is known as the appendicular skeleton. Here you can see the arms regions, the shoulder, pectoral, girdle region, fine. This one is also arm region. Here is the arm region, or you can say it forelimbs or upper limbs. Fine. These are also known as the forelimbs or upper limbs. Then this lower area, this one, the red highlighted part, it is known as the pelvic. As this is a pelvis region, so it is known as the pelvic girdle. Next to them is this leg area, and it is known as the hind limbs. So these are known as the hind limbs. Here I also mentioned pectoral girdle, pelvic girdle, forelimbs or upper limbs, and hind limbs. They all are making your appendicular skeleton. And what is appendicular skeleton? Which are present in appendages, arms and legs. Okay, let's start with the pectoral girdle. The first one was here, right? Here, this one region, shoulder girdle is also known as a pectoral girdle, this one. Now we are going to see them one by one. First one is the pectoral girdle. It comprises of a pair of a scapula, shoulder blades bone. Here you can see this. This is your shoulder bone. It is also known as the scapula, right? It's pair. And clavicle, one collarbone. You can see here, this is the clavicle. This is a collarbone, fine? Clavicle are a pair of collarbones. One end of each curved bone articulates with the sternum. And you can see here, this is also articulated with the sternum. Here, this is a central part. The other end articulates with the scapula. You can see the one end is attached with this sternum, and the second one end is attached with here this scapula, which is the shoulder bone. Here are only these two bones present of pectoral girdle. Now the next part of appendicular skeleton is the forelimbs or upper limbs. The hand region, the arm region, that is originating from this shoulder girdle. After the shoulder girdle, you can say that is the forelimb or upper limbs. Okay, so let's see it, how it is. The forelimb consists of one humerus. You can see it, this region of arm is known as the humerus. Radius, ulna. Here are the carpals. Further are the metacarpals. These are the bones. This region is the metacarpals, and the next to it is the phalanges. Now let's see how many, what is the number of these all parts present in the forelimbs. First of all, humerus has a spherical head. You can see here, this is a spherical head of the humerus, which fits into the glenoid cavity, and this is a ball and socket joint you can see here. So this cavity where it is fixed is known as the glenoid cavity. From ball and form balls and socket joint with scapula, while at distal end, here is the distal end, fine. Humerus forms hind joint with radius and ulna. You can see here, this is the hind joint, radius and ulna. These two bones are present here, and here is one joint, fine. And you know better that here the movement is rotational movement is here, fine. You can twist your arm from this point, but from this point, you can just bend over your arm. You can say that it is front and throw back movement of your arm that takes place here. Fine. So there are two parts. One is the distal end and one is the glenoid cavity ends. Next is the radius. Here is the radius. Is a long outer bone of forearm on the thumb side. You can see here in your hand. Okay, class. I have discussed about with you students the humerus. Next part is the radius and ulna. That is present right after this joint. The one bone is radius and the other one is the ulna. They are present parallel to each other. And next to them, the carpals are present. What is the number of carpals? Are two rows. Here you can see the first row and this is the second row. These two rows consist of total 8 bones, and the first row is also known as the is attached with the wrist part of the arm. So this area is also known as the wrist bones, and the carpals are making this region. Next to carpals that are 18 numbers are metacarpals, and they are 5 in numbers. These metacarpals are making the area of your palm. The region of palm is made up of these metacarpals that are 5 in numbers. Next to them are the phalanges that are total 14 in numbers. The 3 phalanges are present in each finger, and the thumb is consisting of 2 bones. So total number of bones present here are 14. This is the overall structure of the forelimb or upper limb. Next is the pectoral girdle, this is the pelvic girdle, fine. This is pelvic girdle and it is present just after the vertebral column. You can see here the vertebral column region is present. It is made up of 3 bones. These 3 bones are ilium, ischium and pubis. You can see here the ilium, ischium and pubis. The pubis part is giving one joint, that is the pubic symphysis. They are joined at this point, and this point is known as the pubic symphysis. And the cavity which is present here, this is known as the acetabulum, just like your shoulder cavity girdle that was giving rise to the arm region. Hence, the leg bones are also attached with this cavity, acetabulum. Fine. Then there are 2 bones. It consists of 2 coxal bones. Each is formed by the 3 pinion of 3 bones, ilium, ischium, and pubis. So these are present over here also in this region. The pelvic girdle supports the pelvic region. You know that it gives support to the pelvic region. And do you know that what is the central gravity part of your body? It is present just above this point, which is the vertebral column. This is the center of gravity of your body. Okay, next is the hind limb. Lower limb is also known as the hind limb. It is present just after this pelvic girdle. You can see here that this acetabulum is giving rise to this hind limb region. It is consisting of femur, patella, tibia, fibula, 7 tarsals, 5 metatarsals, and 14 phalanges. Fine. Okay, let's start with this femur, that is known as the thigh bone. It is the proximal bone which forms a hip joint. You can see here, students, here this is the hip joint, fine, with the hip bone into the acetabulum. Next to femur is the patella, that is also known as the kneecap, is embedded in a long tendon which runs over the knee joint. Here the tendons that join the bones with the bones. Next is the tibia and fibula. This right after the kneecap, the patella, the tibia one, parallel to it is the fibula. Patella, tibia and fibula. What is okay? Let's see about the fibia. Tibia, not fibia. It's tibia. It is also known as the shin bone, while the fibula, that is the outer bone. Okay. Tibia is the larger bone in the leg. Fibula is the outer bone is the thin bone, joins the tibia just below the knee joint and just above the ankle. Here, just above the ankle, it is present here. Tibia and fibula. Next to them is the tarsals. Just like in your hand region, what was there instead of tarsals? There was the carpals, right, in hand region. But if you see in hind limb, it is tarsals, and that are 5 in numbers, that are next joint with the metatarsals, and they are, sorry, tarsals are 7 in numbers and metatarsals are 5 in numbers. Metatarsal further joined with these phalanges, they are also total 14 in numbers as were present in the forelimbs. This was all about the appendicular skeleton of the human skeleton. Now, the next topic, joints, is started here. What are the joints? You can say for joints that joints occur where bones meet, fine? Or you can say so, a joint or articulation is a place where 2 bones or bone and cartilage come together, is also called joints. But here we mentioned joints are the areas where 2 or more bones meet. Most joints are mobile, allowing the bones to move. Joints consist of the following: cartilage, This is a type of tissue that covers the surface of a bone at a joint. You can see that this cartilage always present on the surface of the bones and cover the surfaces to make joint. Joint is a point where two bones meet together is called joints. You can see here in this diagram, students, these are the shoulder joints. You can see here fine, the wrist joints, the hip joints, the knee joints, and the foot and ankle joints. This is the diagram of the x-rays. Here you can also see the knee joints. Next, here are the types of the joints. That is the classification of joints on the basis of structure and movement. How can they move? Are they totally movable? Are they immovable or slightly movable? How can they move? We have classified them on the basis of their movements into three categories. The three main types of joints are given here. First one is the fibrous, the second one is the cartilaginous, and the third one is the synovial joint. You have already discussed them in your class 10th biology, but here we are revising them again. At the time we were just familiar of this terminology, immovable joints that cannot move, like this. The first one is the immovable joint, that is also known as the fibrous joints class. It is highlighted by this orange circle, like the skull part. You can see the skull bones are totally immovable. They cannot freely move. So they don't have a joint cavity here, because as they are immovable, because they don't have a joint cavity. Besides this, you can say that the gap between the bones may be narrow, and the gap is narrow, that's why they are unable to move. They overlap or interlock and are held together by a tough fiber. The skull is example. Besides skull, what comes to your mind? What can be the example for fibrous cartilage? The shaft region. What is the shaft region? This one. If you see in this is the shaft region. Fine. These bones are unable to move. So you can say that these are also fibrous joints. And next is the example of maxilla or mandible, jaw bones that are present in your jaw. You know that they are totally immovable. So it can also be the example for this fibrous cartilage. Fibrous joints, sorry, not cartilage. Next is the cartilaginous, that are the slightly movable joints that somehow move but not can freely move, but they are not immovable. They have a little movements. The bones at a slightly movable joint can only move a little. They are held together by strong straps called ligaments and are joined by protective cords known as the cartilage. As I already told you about that, on the point of joint they are covered by a cartilage, and they are known as a cartilaginous movable joints. You can see here this is present in the rib areas here, okay, right, that are attaching them with the sternum. You know that your lungs are performing the function of inhalation and exhalation. For this purpose they are continuously relaxing and contracting, and for this purpose they needs to move their ribs, and this movement is slightly movement, right, that is happening for the gaseous exchange in your body. This is all done by the ribs. What can be the examples for the cartilaginous? The example of cartilaginous joints are costal cartilages that attach ribs to the sternum. You can see here, these are the that attach ribs to the sternum. That I told you about the true ribs. Find the first 7. Next is the pubic symphysis and invertebral disc synovial joints. Next part is the next example can be the pubis symphysis. That area is present here. Pubis symphysis. Invertebral disc. Invertebral disc is here. You can bend over. You know that your this vertebral column is also helping you for bending process. So you can say that it is also showing the slightly movement, so known as a slightly movable joints. Next to them is the synovial joints, which other name is freely movable joints. What can be that? At a freely movable joint, the bones move freely. They are also known as synovial joints and are largest group of joints found in the body. Like you can see here with these blue circles, this is the hip joints. Here you know this acetabulum, which is giving cavity to fix this femur bone here and making hip joints. They can freely move. You can move your legs in rotational movement. Can you kick? Yes, you can kick with the help of your leg. This is a free movement of your leg, fine. And here you also know that this is showing the rotational movement, and this point is showing the throw and back movement, fine. You can kick with this movement, and you can while playing football, both of these joints help you to play football. Besides this, you can't say that these freely movable joints are present only in these regions. They can also be present here in this region. This is elbow region, fine. And this one is the shoulder region where the ball and socket joints are present. They are also useful for freely movable, freely movements in your body. It was all about the types of joints. Next are a few diagrams, types of joint, ball and socket joint, hind joints that are giving a front and back movement. Knee joints are also doing the same. Hip joints are responsible to show a rotational movement, just like this pivot joint in your neck region. You can move it like here and like in this direction and in this direction, fine. It was all about the today's lecture. If you're having any problem, you may ask.